I've been particularly fascinated with several talks by Rory Sutherland, and he talks about kind of behavioral economics, and he talks about this idea that having a name for a thing, having a metaphor, can actually bring it into existence. And one example that he uses is in Minnesota, there was a big problem with people merging in traffic lanes, and if you drive, you know that that's an issue, that especially when there are two lanes that have to go down to one lane that have approximately the same amount of cars, and so they came up with this idea of naming it the zipper merge. And all of a sudden, the accidents went down because everybody knows exactly how a zipper works. And then somehow by identifying the metaphor that resonated with people, you could address a real problem. Now, I think that I may have found a metaphor that addresses some of my problems. One of the things that I found really frustrating over the past year or so is social media. And I know a lot of people have their own reasons why not to like social media, but for me, it's really that we are the authors of our own life story. And when we have these social media identities, we are writing down exactly what that personality is. And that can be problematic. It's effectively the equivalent of saying, okay, you're going to write a book, you're going to write your masterpiece, but you're going to release every page publicly, and then you have to keep writing the story so that it makes sense with that book. And there are a number of things that are problematic with that. I mean, for one thing, it's public, and we are then accountable for the versions of ourselves that we have put out there in the preceding chapter. But they attempt to represent us, and we are reminded daily that this is who you once said that you were. When I think really sometimes we want to change, sometimes we want to be different. We would love to just move to a new city, and this will be my chance to adopt a new personality. The feeling of when you go from middle school to high school or high school to college. Oh my gosh, your entire slate was wiped clean. You could start over and be a completely different person if you so chose. So it seems like you have two choices when dealing with your online self. You can say, I'm going to make a clean break. I'm going to somehow signify that ignore everything I've done before. Maybe I remove my videos, maybe I delete my tweets. Or the alternative is to say, I'm just going to be the person that I previously told you that I was. Whether that's true, whether I've changed, I'm not really a fan of either of those two options. And so I want to take that idea that by naming something, by coming up with a fitting metaphor, we can actually change behavior. And I want to say that I want to write a second draft of the story of my life. That I want to say there are some things that are working out, there's some things that aren't, but I'm scrapping all that. And some of the stuff that I continue to do is going to be based on the original stuff, and some of it is going to be different. I want a chance to do over, to re-roll, but to still adopt the things that I think really make me me. Now, part of that means that future videos may be a bit crap, in the sense that I have to convince you that these first few chapters are worth reading. I want to start the entire process over and say, look, I'm going to learn how to make stuff again. I'm not going to be tied down to what I used to do. I'm really hoping that this metaphor can help fix some problems that I have, because I've been struggling a lot with depression, with my physical health, which is the worst that it's ever been, to the point that it's a serious loss of life risk if I don't do something about it. So I'm starting a second draft of my life. And I know that seems narcissistic, but I somehow need to explain to you that I think I had this idea, and I think that this metaphor may work, and I would love to know what you think down in the comments. Or if you're not interested, that's totally fine. Just go away and be happy watching other people's stuff. And so with that, good night.